Welcome to this episode of Fastlane, a JCTV podcast. For this episode, myself, Adam Coon, and Josh Coppernoll will go over the current MFROD standings in the Slide Job Racing League Premier Series ahead of the 10th season's 10th race. Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on JCTV from Michigan International Speedway. It'll be the final race of the MF Racing Designs series before the playoffs, so we'll dissect the top 20 in the standings as only 10 continue on. Plus, Donnie Kite and Hunter Pietzsch are in the NAOR Carpool lane following Friday night's NAOR Series second race of Season 13. They break down their races at the Iowa Speedway and look forward to Kentucky after a bye week. Plus, Jake Millsap is on the JUICYSPYDR Gaming Sim Rig Showcase, and we go over JCTV picks and results from Talladega. Fastlane revs up now. Well, Josh, we only have one race to go in the Slide Job Racing League Premier Series before the playoffs start next week in Nashville Superspeedway. So we're looking at the points here, looking at the top 10. Who stands out to you the most who's not safe in this regular season finale coming in at Michigan this Tuesday night?
Honestly, I'd say Dylan Parker. He's currently sitting 8th in points. He's got a chance, but the fact he's not safe really surprises me. He's had some good runs this season, 4 top 5s in this season so far. He is one of the more aggressive drivers, and we're going to a track that is really big, very wide, like Michigan. I think he's going to continue to be aggressive there, but wrong move could hurt him. So I'm a little bit surprised to see that he's not actually safe and locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Josh. He has a win this season at New Hampshire, a couple other runner-ups at Kansas and Coda, and he's been strong at almost every type of track we've gone to, but he just didn't get the results where he needed to at a place like Atlanta to get some points, and Dover last week to really set himself up for a better positioning for this regular season finale, like I mentioned. Heading into this track, like you mentioned, Michigan big and wide out, and when we look over at the next page, Josh, it's pretty tight between the top 14 or 15 guys. Really only a 31-point swing between 8th place Dylan Parker, we were just talking about, and the last guy eligible, Jackson Glenn Austin, in the 15th position.
Yeah, and as I already mentioned, Michigan, it is big, it is wide, a lot can happen, and these whole this whole point situation right here can completely be flipped upside down by the end of Michigan, and we could see a few guys that look like they're comfortably in right now completely out because of something going wrong. So for guys like Pacheco, Brian Dees, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, I wouldn't count them out, especially because those guys alone are within 7 points from the cutoff. But then don't count out Noah Mayery and Jackson Glenn Austin either, who are just 12 and 16 back. It's going to be really interesting.
Another thing we have to talk about, Josh, looking at this points graphic, is Dane Cruz has been kick dropped basically from the top 10 since the last time we were on air with this series Tuesday night at Dover. In that broadcast Tuesday night from Dover, we saw him bring out a caution, and Josh, the admins and the race control team in SJRL have deemed that that caution was intentionally brought out by the one car, and he has been punished for it.
Yeah, it looked like he was involved in an accident and stopped on track, and then after the caution came out, he started rolling. I don't know if he had some issues or what, but you know, whatever it was, Edmonds didn't like it, and he got punished for it. So he was sitting in a position where he could very well, make the playoffs, and now he has no fighting chance whatsoever to fight for the season 10 championship.
Yeah, Josh, you mentioned no fighting chance. He's now 38 points away from that top 10 cutoff, and you said he was going to be in a good position to make this playoff, make this chase. He was ninth at the time after Dover's race. Even with his poor result, he was still ninth in points, and the disqualification from Dover dropped him about 22 points after that all being said and done, and now he is completely eliminated from that chance. And like I said before, it was only a 31 point swing left in that battle, so anything can happen at Michigan, like you said. It's probably going to be, we probably won't have a full field in Michigan, but we will see a pretty healthy field, I think, for that regular season finale, Josh. And there will be plenty of points to be lost if you're one of those guys just barely inside the top 10.
That's why you have to be on your game. You can't make mistakes at all. It's one last chance. I think this is the second most important race of the season, with the most important one being, the finale. Because essentially this is a finale. It's the finale for that determines whether or not you fight for a championship or not. So you can't afford to have mistakes at all. And these drivers, they're just going to look out there to try to keep their car clean. For guys that are like Jackson Glenn Austin and Noah Mary, it might be a little bit more aggressive. But I think, if you're kind of on the bubble from Luke Nupp, or rather Dylan Parker, to Ethan, you might be a little bit more conservative.
Well, you bring up Luke Nupp. What do you think about him? He is not quite safe, but he's not really in that threshold I was talking about with that 31 point swing. But he is not safe by any stretch of the mean. He's only 7 points down the road from Parker. So if he just drops out in the race in Michigan early, or something happens where he isn't able to start or take a provisional, he will be out. He will be dropped out of that pretty easily with everyone else behind him probably showing up. He has a win this season, as does Dylan Parker, like we mentioned before. But what do you think about that 05 car that we see every week, usually up front, but like Dylan Parker, hasn't been able to string all the results together to be in that top 5 and be safe heading into this finale?
If I'm looking up, I'm not really going to worry about points too much. If I get into, or if I'm looking up, and I'm in a position where uh, things aren't looking good, I'm towards the back of the field, then maybe I'd start worrying. But for the most part, if I'm him, I wouldn't worry. I'd just focus on finishing the race and going from there. I think that will be the best option for him, so he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have extra anxiety, if you will, for making it out of Michigan with still at a championship.
And Nupp won our most recent race in the Slide Job Racing League Premier Series at Dover on Tuesday. So he's going to try and carry that momentum into this race at Michigan. And like you mentioned, he won't have to worry about the points too much. And that was one of the biggest things he was thinking about after that win at Dover last Tuesday night, was putting himself out of that danger zone. And he was right in the middle of that chaos in that point situation. And it's really been a close battle all season long so far. Just only 9 races deep into the season, Josh. And I'm going to look a little bit further up the point standings because we have a very tight battle for that lead overall. Not going to change too much how we enter this postseason, but it is pretty interesting to look at who's going to be the best of the regular season because these three have been pretty strong all year, but I'm pretty shocked it's this close heading into this race at Michigan.
Yeah, 9 races isn't a ton of races, but it's still a good amount of races to try to get a difference on your competitors. And the fact that the top 3, as you mentioned, are so close, or within 5 points of each other, is absolutely insane. Kilroe, Thorpe, and Jonathan Parker all have done an incredible job this season thus far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they will continue to do. But yeah, the points battle between them for this final race is absolutely insane.
All right, Josh, looking at this bubble one more time for this top 10. Jared Wilson, Christian Pacheco. They are teammates at Jared Bogley Motorsports, and they are separated by 1 point, and they've got so many guys around them in this hunt for this top 10 that we've been talking about this entire segment. But how do you approach this race as those two teammates on either side of that cut line? And how is that mentality going to be starting the race and then getting through it, knowing that he is literally the closest guy in points entering tonight, and you're probably going to be around him because that's just the way they have ran all season long.
You know, in some ways, I look at this kind of like a situation with my teammates and I. You know, if I can't win the race, I want a teammate to win the race. You know, so it's in a way, if you're those teammates, you got to think, you know, if it can't be me, hopefully you go and get it done. You know, in this situation, you got to be a little bit more selfish, I think. You know, but the best thing for Jared Wilson and Christian Pacheco is just hoping that one of their other competitors above them have a mistake, so they don't have to race each other for that final position.
Yeah, it absolutely would be disastrous if it did come down to the last couple laps between themselves for that position. A little bit of inter-team rivalry if it did come down to that, but like you mentioned, they are going to hope for misfortune from those guys above them to get both of them inside that top 10. And Josh, looking just below them, Brian Dees on the outside looking, and that's a big surprise to me. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he is very fast, but he has mistakes still. He's still getting, I think, a little bit comfortable with the iRacing service, and he has growing pains every week, and we see it. But he has the pace on the short runs. And Noah Mayer, he has had a very unfortunate season. He's been included in wrecks almost every step of the way, and unfortunately at Dover, he said enough was enough, and he announced retirement from full-time driving this season. And finally on that list is Jackson Glenn Austin. I'm honestly surprised he's still in the running because he has had a very quiet season. In the big races, he has been in the front in the mix, but in the other races, he's been consistently clicking off finishes just outside of the perspective of JCTV. Pretty much, he's always clicking off finishes when no one's looking. Is what I think that season has been for the 28.
Yeah, for Jackson, it is impressive that he's still in it. And you know, I think the one thing for him is he's really hoping for chaos at Michigan. He's he's hoping that five guys ahead of him in points have issues, you know, and that he has a strong race as well. So Jackson, he wants chaos, um, but you know, he's still in it. He still has a chance, and anything can happen.
Yeah, Josh, it's going to be a pretty dynamic situation here on Tuesday night at Michigan International Speedway. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting show to see who's going to sneak into that top 10. If it's going to change at all, I think it's going to have a little bit of movement between them, and I think a couple guys are going to find themselves sneaking their way in. As for that battle for the lead, it's going to be pretty interesting because I think that all three of those guys are going to be running for the lead on the racetrack as well. So Michigan's setting up to be a pretty exciting show to conclude this 10th season of the Slide Job Racing League Premier Series regular season. And we're going to be there Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on JCTV.
Now joining us on Fastlane is Slide Job Racing League driver Michael Thorpe Jr. Michael, we just come off of a race at Dover, the second to last race before the playoffs start. It was quite the race to say the least.
Yeah, very much was.
So walk us through, you know, how that race went from your perspective.
Well, actually, I was hoping to get a pretty good qualifying start and just P11. I'll take it, but from the start on, the race seemed pretty strong overall. Everybody was sort of gave each other room. We were nose tail the entire time, and I can't remember the exact lap where the accident happened, but when Sartars got in the back of me, I just accordion effect right into blaze and turned him. by accident. It pretty much just killed the rest of our race.
So there was quite the amount of disagreements at Dover altogether with a lot of different drivers. Of course, you and Sartaj had a little run in there. Was there anything more that transpired from that accident between you and Sartaj?
I mean, I honestly don't think the racing between me or him is going to change at all. If, at least from my perspective, I mean, in general, I'm going to try to be more respectful, and not drive through people during these races. But it's just on his end. I don't know. I can't tell you if he'll change at all or not. But from what I see, he's not going to change his driving style. He's going to keep running people over. It's ridiculous that he constantly does this almost every week. But I can guarantee you this much: he won't be getting any help from me when it comes to Darlington or any play track, or any track where it's required to actually get some help from.
Now, with that being said, I did mention on the broadcast when we were, calling the race live, how with the playoffs coming up quick, any beef. I think if you want to, try to go and win a championship, should be put behind. Does that kind of change the way you really race the rest of the competition at all?
I don't know. 100%. If I'm going after a championship, I'm going after a championship. I don't care about any beef. Because it's not gonna do anything but slow me down. That's something it's not very unnecessary. That's needed. It's very unnecessary. So you can't deal with that during the whole championship season. So in general, I'm gonna put this Sartaj situation behind me, but I will let this known. He will not be getting any help from me. I will race him as hard as he races everybody else in the league. This is still kind of the same topic, but people I do realize I keep bringing up Bristol, and we all know what happened at Bristol. He just got in the back of me and just moved me up the track and just finished me off. But I cannot forgive somebody that just runs through people at all. It's just unacceptable. That's not racing. You at least try to race, actually cleanly and not, really not really try to rub somebody and run them up the track and wreck them after that. It's just a matter of respect. If you do that, you're not gonna give any respect from anybody on the track or off the track. It's simple as that. I mean, you just can't keep doing it and expect nothing to come back from you, from the guy that you're doing it to.
Well, we have one more race left before the playoffs start. It is at Michigan International Speedway, a personal favorite of mine. But how are you feeling going into that race, knowing it's just a last chance before the playoffs?
Honestly, I might have a slight chance in Michigan to win the regular season and hopefully get some good, get a good starting point for the championship season. I do feel comfortable at Michigan in the Xfinity cars, so I think I might be, going for a top 10 or hopefully a win if I can get there. It's just a matter of just keeping the nose clean and just who to watch out for and everything. But I got a feeling this season might be my season.
Thank you.
No problem, Josh. Till next time.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I am too. I'm trying to get. I still haven't won my first race, man. That kind of sucks.
And now joining us for the Juicy Spider Sim Rig Showcase is NAOR's own Jake Millsap. Jake, you have looks like a Logitech setup in there. Tell us a little bit about your wheel.
Mm-hmm. So a funny story about the wheel, actually. I've had as you see, it's a PlayStation. I had the Xbox one for probably since 2019 or so until this last year. And I ended up entering a contest that GMS Racing did about they're giving away a couple wheels, and it's kind of a funny story because a lot of the guys in the NAOR stuff know I am not someone who enters anything, and I am very against it. But I ended up doing it, and about a month later, I get an email uh, about I won the wheel, and from GMS and Jack Wood, who is one of the Truck Series drivers. So, yeah, pretty good thing. I do have my shifter set up. I don't think you can see it, but I do have my shifter set up on a concrete block. So that's a little improvised thing. So
Nice. So what kind of pedals do you use? Are they 3 pedal set, 2 pedal set?
it's 3 pedal set. I do use like the auto clutch, but I don't. It will shut off on me if I spin. So I have a whole setup for my starter and everything on there. So I do use all 3 pedals for everything.
Now I also want to ask about that chair. So far, uh, doing these segments, we've only done a couple, but a couple of the drivers have just used a basic chair. This looks like it's actually hooked up to everything. So what kind of chair is that?
So it's from Virtual Racing Chassis. It's kind of based off kind of like a Formula One or like an IndyCar kind of setup. Um, it's pretty comfortable. It keeps me through most of the races. It's pretty good. It's mounted to the pedals, the steering wheel, all that's mounted to its own thing. And I have you can't really see it in the picture, but I have quite a setup of the duct tape strapping the shifter and the concrete block to it.
I also see some gloves in that picture. Do you race with gloves?
Yes, and I actually won them at the NAOR race at Daytona this last summer in July. I finished, I think, it was second, just barely beating out the 27 of Sam Wade, and I ended up winning those. So that's a fun little kind of a trophy.
Nice. So what about the inside hardware, the computer? What kind of computer do you use? Is it custom built or a pre-built one?
So it's a pre-built from iBuyPower. It's a great company out of California. It runs really good. Uh, Another thing about my rig too is I also have you can't see it because it's on the other side of the chair, but I do have my flight uh stick and everything set up there because I'm a big Milsim guy. So the computer works great with iRacing, DCS World, Arma 3, anything I do on there, it can run all of them, and it's very good.
So is there anything like if you were just to want to upgrade something right now, what would you upgrade if anything?
Um, Probably racing wise, it would probably be probably a better wheel, like one that has something I can interchange. Um, I I don't do too much open wheel stuff, but I am at it like NAOR, the NASCAR side, so that's kind of my main at least series I run in. But most of my driving I do is trophy trucks and off road. So something that can handle a lot tougher than what some of the stock cars do would be kind of nice. But yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else about your rig that you'd like to tell us that we didn't cover?
It is actually the way it's set up now is actually temporary because I am currently moving across the country, and ironically, it's the best setup I've ever had with it. Um, the screen, which is the same screen you see there, was about as far away as the end of the pedals were, so I could barely see, and now it's vastly improved.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us about your sim rig and joining
Yeah,
us for this edition of the Juicy Spider Sim Rig Showcase.
thank you guys.
Fastlane, a JCTV podcast, is sponsored by FACES, the National Craniofacial Association.
Now it's time to go over JCTV picks from Talladega Superspeedway's Geico 500 on Sunday. Michael Kruger's first pick of Denny Hamlin netted him a 17th place finish in the 11 car, while my pick of Austin Hill only mustered a 24th place finish in the 62. Jonathan Canfield's Chase Elliott choice was a 12th place finish, while Dawson Allen's pick of Ryan Blaney almost gave him the win. He settled for second place, giving him the best result out of anyone on JCTV picks, giving him another bonus point. Josh Coppernoll chose Brad Keselowski's 5th place finish, while Cameron Caldwell chose Kyle Larson in a 33rd place finish after a scary crash. Next week is Dover Motor Speedway. We will see you on Thursday's edition of Fastlane to see who our picks are going to be. Fastlane is also sponsored by Spooky Games. Check them out in Attleboro, Massachusetts, or online at spooky-games.square.site, or on their Facebook today. Links are in the description. Now it's time for the NAOR Carpool Lane after the second race of the season 13 at Iowa Speedway, and joining us is Hunter Pietzsch after a 3rd place run and Downward Kite after a 12th place run. Unfortunately, Zachary Meredith did not join us tonight. He was involved in an incident very early at Iowa Speedway and had to retire in the 31st position. Hopefully we will catch him at Kentucky Speedway in 2 weeks' time for the NAOR Series return for race number 3 of season 13. Alright, joining us now for the NAOR Carpool Lane is Hunter Pietzsch and Donnie Kite. I'm going to start off with Hunter. You finished on the podium yet again in that 20 car, but how did you get there with the end result of what the 20 machine looked like?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I don't even know how to sum up the race. Frustrating, but also, I guess you could say good at the same time. Started off good, getting green flag runs, saving tires, cautions, and then eventually, don't know what happened fully. I think I got in the wreck. Oh, yeah, it was Jonathan and Michael. They went into turn 1. Michael overcooked it. Hit Jonathan, put him in the wall. Sucks that ended his day. I was looking forward to battling him after how he did at Vegas, and got involved in that one. To fix the damage, fell to the back, charged to the field, got another wreck with Josh. He got loose, put me in the wall, and then got hit. And I had to come back down, fix a minute 20 required damage. Try to steadily lap, go back down pit road, and then fix the last 20 seconds. Go out, run a few laps, got lucky with the yellow. I don't know what lap it was like 70. Come back down, take the tires, everybody else stood out, and just go balls out, just get best finish. Somehow ended up with no rear end and anything to P3, which I would gladly take. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, Donnie, it was up down night for you as well. You started in the back, worked your way up to the front, started battling for the race lead, and then found yourself in the back again. So walk us through how your race went.
Well, go figure. I try my best in qualifying and still end up pretty much last. So, but it didn't take long. Ended up, I don't know, about 15th by the time the caution came out, and then moved into 12th through pit road. And then I just, I don't know, I just started driving past cars almost pretty smoothly. And then I found myself in the top 5. I think there was another caution. And from that point, I was like, I want to see what this thing can do. And I started fighting for the lead. And the fight lasted for a while. So we started chewing up the tires. And I guess I didn't catch the memo that the outside line was where to be when the tires are gone. So I found myself back in 15th again. And then it was survival back there. A lot of massive wrecks. Had to miss them all. I think the only crash I made contact was when Hunter was spinning in turn 1. I made contact with the 83 or the 63, whatever it was, but it was a little. I think it was some door damage, but it wasn't anything to affect the handle. But yeah, a little toward, I don't know, like 160 something. Me and Hunter made contact, and it was just in a worse spot because I was avoiding the outside 2 lanes because of all the bumps. But when I got put in the bumps, it was almost like getting put in a gravel trap. It just wouldn't go anywhere. It just went straight toward the fence. And then, yeah, I guess that little contact on the wall pretty much just ruined the right front wheel. I could not rotate anymore. And I was just, at that point, I was just irritated. I wasn't up there in the lead anymore. So, it is what it is.
So, Donnie, one thing I wanted to ask was one thing that was brought up on last week's broadcast by Jonathan Canfield. Pretty new to iRacing in general, especially last season. And over the course of the season, you got better as you learned the car. The Xfinity car was ran in Season 12. We moved to Gen 6 car in Season 13. How much was tonight a learning experience for you? And how much time have you had with this car outside of the 2 races we've had so far this season?
As far as my overall experience, I think I started in, I want to say June, or maybe May last year. And my first experience with stock cars was actually at Iowa in the ARCA car. Took me probably 400 laps to even complete one. The Gen 6 car, I did 2 NAOR races in season 11. I believe it was Richmond and Atlanta, and I was like 2 laps down in each race. I was just trash. So my Gen 6 car experience is now 4 races, I believe. So.
Well, Hunter, you had that damage that you talked about, and of course you finished 3rd. But do you think that the damage affected your car at all? Did it feel any different after you got the damage?
Not that I know of. Maybe just slightly on the long run, but I think I just kind of catch pace seeing Michael Kruger and I don't know the other guy name. I know it off the top of my head. The 66 car. I kind of just cooked my right rear, just being too aggressive on the fresher tires. Should have been more patient with it. But I mean, what can you say? I mean, I'll take 3rd any day with how that car looked. I don't think nobody would argue with that.
No, absolutely. Thing looked
I had
ready for the
elbows up.
junkyard.
I was not listening.
Well, one of the biggest talking points for us at the end of the broadcast was the time limit. We actually caught the time limit there. We were 2 laps short, I believe, or maybe a little bit more from the scheduled distance when the white and checkered flags flew. Did that mess up your guys' dynamic a little bit, Hunter? I know you were in a pretty heavy battle with Jose Ruiz for the 3rd position at the time, but for yourself and Donnie, were you guys caught off guard by that change of the checkered flag there?
I don't know what Donnie was. Honestly, I kind of liked it because the way the damage was in the car. I was like, you know what? If I can't win this on speed, I'm going to play the caution clock game. I'm just going to pick tires, just stay out on the lead lap, be the leader, and just hope the time runs out. I don't know what Donnie's strategy. That was mine before when I charged the field on those tires. I was just going to play an off strategy, just get in front of everybody and just hope time runs out. That was my one shot. But ultimately, I kind of just ran it just like the normal race. That maybe we go green, run it, treat it how you're gonna run it.
Yeah, I think we only really lost like 3 or 4 laps, so it didn't affect me
I don't
any.
think we lost anything.
I know we took the white on
Oh
218.
yeah, we did. It was 222. I think it was 219. I never experienced that though. That was the first.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that we'd hit the clock a little sooner. I was just ready to put her down. It's just done.
Well, we head into a bye week, and then we have Kentucky the week after on May 5th. Kentucky, a track that we don't see on a schedule too often anymore. So, how are you guys feeling going into Kentucky Speedway?
Well, honestly, I have yet to really come across a track I don't enjoy racing at on iRacing. So I don't think I've been to Kentucky yet, but I'm ready to buy it. I'm ready to tear up the surface and see where I can put the car.
You never been there?
I don't think so.
I only thing is I don't know if it's a night or a day. I know daytime there's gonna be a lot of lifting with the 550. It's gonna be tight package bottom feeder, at least from I know. But I mean, somehow we can push to get a day to a night race. From what I know, it's gonna change the track dramatically in 1 and 2. I mean, I would hope we get a day to a night. It's a really neat track to race at night, but also in the day. And I feel like it'll kind of make everybody kind of chase the track a lot more. Kind of how tonight was. Just me and Donnie didn't even know it was going to be a high side. I didn't think it was. I thought the high side could get tired, and apparently I was like, why is everybody up there? Bottom was dead. But Kentucky's definitely going to be interesting because I think you can run wide open at 1 and 2, but it's going to be very sketchy. And obviously, you know how Josh, you know how tight 3 and 4 is there. It's going to be chaotic to get to the bottom. Not to get aero time off of 4.
Yeah, of course. A few years before NASCAR quit running there, they repaved it and changed the way that the track is designed, where 1 and 2 is different than 3 and 4.
I'm really looking forward to it. It was one track I had circled. I was like, look at the schedule. I think Kentucky would be pretty fun. I mean, it was one I was looking forward a lot more than Vegas and Iowa. That, and I would say Phoenix and everything is the ones I'm really looking forward to.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for joining us again tonight after the race at Iowa. Good luck at Kentucky in 2 weeks' time, and we'll hopefully get to talk to you guys there again.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
You guys take care.
Yeah, you as well.